Hello, I'm Dr. Will Keim, and welcome as a transfer student to California State University, San Bernardino. Frankly, I think you've made a great choice, and I know that Mark Hartley, one of my former students and now friends and colleagues, and Mama D will take good care of you, but you have to do your part. You have to show up. You have to set the banquet table right now for the feast you're going to eat the rest of your life. That's the whole treatise of this presentation. You are setting the banquet table at CSUSB for the feast you're going to eat the rest of your life. Your professors are prepared to teach you. Your student affairs administrators are prepared to take care of the co-curricular activities. But you have to show up. Woody Allen once said, success in life, 90% of which is showing up. You have to do your part. And fortunately for you, I'm going to tell you how. The freshman class incoming every year reads my book, Welcome to the Time of Your Life, and there are copies on campus available for you to read. The note cards that you've been given contain all the information, the key information from this speech and that book. I want you to succeed, and whether you're returning to school as an older than average student or a traditional age student who's decided that you'll do better at CSUSB, you've picked a great place at a vital university in a wonderfully diverse part of the United States of America. One day the entire country will look like San Bernardino County. Where I come there, it looks like the United Nations, and it's why I love it, because I grew up at 1050 East Laverne in Pomona, California. On the left were the Garcias. Mrs. Garcia would make the beans and the tortillas. On the right, the Barfields. They would do the barbecue because they were African American. My dad, he was the alcoholic. He'd bring the beer. It was a hell of a great neighborhood. And I know what it means to grow up in Southern California and to be at one of the most vital places in the nation. I want you to succeed, and I'm going to tell you how. And there's 10 ways. Number one, you must be a scholar. You got to go to class, sit in the front row, take notes, take your notes home at the end of the day, recopy them in outline form. And you must do that because then at the end of the term, you'll have 10 pages of notes in outline form to review rather than 40 pages of notes you can't remember. Go meet each one of your professors. Introduce yourself so that they are grading a name, a person, rather than a social security number. The reason professors don't like office hours is because the only people that ever go to see them are anal retentive A students that tell them, I think I deserve a 99.6 instead of a 99.4. If you're in trouble, if you have an undiagnosed learning disability, if you're dyslexic, if you're struggling with the material because these teachers don't dumb their classes down, I want you to go to that professor and they will give you help. There's also counselors on campus, and if you ever see one of your friends come out of the counseling office, I don't want you to go, ooh, I saw Steve come out of the counseling office. The only people in California that don't have problems all live in the same place, and it's called the cemetery. The rest of us have got issues. So if you've got issues, let's get them solved now before you get out into the business world where they are not as lenient, they're not as caring as they are at California State University, San Bernardino. Number one, be a scholar. Number two, I want you to serve the community. You can't believe how many people are in San Bernardino County that are in need. Kids that need role models. People that need them to know how to play soccer. Maybe you're great at math. Each of you have a blessing. Each of you have a gift in abundance, and I want you to give that. You tall girls, all you need to do is go down to a middle school and stand up straight, because there's not one of you women that's tall that doesn't remember what it was like to be the ostrich girl in the back of the third grade picture with some little boy standing next to you going, wow, you're tall. Well, you're right, I'm tall, and you're short. But you didn't have it then. You went home and you got upset. Each of you has something that you could share with kids. You could go visit an old person. You could call your own grandmother. You know, if you're studying gerontology at CSUSB, and you never visit your grandmother, you need to either go see her or change your major. Number one, I want you to study. Number two, I want you to serve the community. Number three, I want you to be a peacemaker. There was a Jewish kid about 2,000 years ago, lived in the Middle East, and he stood on a little rise once looking out over about 10,000 people. And the Jewish kid grew up to be famous later. His name was Jesus. He once said to a group of people, blessed are the peacemakers. And that's what I want you to be. I want you to make friends with people regardless of race, creed, color, national orientation, or sexual orientation. There's not one of you sitting there today listening to this presentation, and certainly not me or Mark Hartley, as wonderful as he is, that is living their life so righteously they've got time to judge others. I want you to make friends with people. Leave the hatred behind. Leave the judgments behind. Give people the benefit of the doubt. You know what I know, because I do a lot of reading, because I'm alone a lot when I travel? I've been in every state at least 5 times. I've got 3 million miles on Delta Airlines, and I've ridden every train that Amtrak can put on a line. You know what I know? 25% of the women by the time they get to college have been sexually assaulted. Says who? The National Institute of Mental Health. It's 10% of the men. A lot of people come from families like mine that have divorced. When my wife and I got married December 22nd, 1979, our 4 parents in the front row of that church in Yosemite had 14 marriages between the 4 of them. Can any of you top that? Anybody got more than 14 marriages in your family? Life is hard. Life is hard, and you need help. And there's not one person in this room today that needs to be judged by anybody else. So you're going to study. That's job 1. You're going to serve the community, because whatever you give out, it'll come back 100-fold. Number 3, you're going to be peacemakers. You're going to cut people some slack, starting with yourself. Number 4, you're going to be men and women of character. Say what you mean, do what you say, and when you don't, admit it. No more spin, no more half-truths. If you tell your boyfriends, your partners, your significant others you're going to be faithful, then don't go away to college and cheat on them. If you tell your boss you'll be in at 8, show up at 8, not 8:30. If you tell your parents you'll call them when you get to home from the party, then darn it, call them, because they're going to sit up all night worrying about you. I want you to say what you mean, do what you say, and when you don't, admit it. Number 5, I want you to be healthy. That's my code word for sexually responsible. But if I say sexually responsible, everybody gets nervous. As a matter of fact, every 7 seconds, your brain goes sex. That's why you can't pay attention, not to mention your little devices. And by the way, if you've got friends on your computer or your iPad or your smartphone in Guam, but you can't get a date in Southern California, you lose. Turn off your freaking machines. You're not going to have those on your honeymoon. You're not going to be sitting there going, I'm really ready. Are you ready? Zzz. Yeah, I'm ready too. So at some point, you're going to have to man up, woman up, and get it done. And that isn't going to involve the machine, I certainly hope. But you have got to be the kind of person who understands that you need to be sexually responsible. There's 2 ways to do it. And right now I know there's somebody sitting out there, it's usually a guy that says, I know 12 ways. Well, thank you, Mr. Kama Sutra. I'm doing the lecture today. You can give the next one. 2 ways to be sexually responsible. Number 1, it's okay not to have sex. It's a great way not to get pregnant. Oh, you knew that? Well, then how come we had 200,000 abortions in America last year? You know, we better all hope that the cure for cancer wasn't in one of those little tiny undeveloped brains. You know what I'm saying to you? And I'm not judging. I'm just saying it's a great way not to get pregnant. It's a great way not to have sexually transmitted diseases. It's a great way not to get to HIV and AIDS. And frankly, it's a great way not to have sexual flashbacks on your honeymoon. Never thought about that? Picture this. Yes, Steve. Yes, Steve. Yes, Steve. Oh my God, Tim. There's nothing more romantic than hearing somebody else's name whispered in your ear in a moment of passion. It's okay not to have sex, but if you choose to be sexual, you need to practice safer sex. And any speaker, presentation, commercial, TV show that implies that there's safe sex, those are morons. Sex can be safer. But anything as powerful as sex, psychologically, physically, and spiritually, frankly, if done right, anything that powerful should never be called safe. It can be safer. I'd prefer that you abstain, because none of you men pray like this. Dear God, / Big Bang Theory, I'm trying to be inclusive, thank you. Dear God, I want to get married someday. I want her to be smart. I want her to want to have a career. I want her to want to have a family as well as have a career. And one more thing, Lord, I want her to have slept with at least 6 football players, 3 linemen, 2 guys from the skill positions, and a kicker. The reality is, if it's not okay to practice with somebody else's future wife, if you don't want somebody practicing with yours, why are you doing it? And women, I lettered 4 years Division I baseball, and I never heard this in a locker room. Do you know Teresa? Yeah, she's really loose. Yes, I respect her too. Never heard that conversation. It's okay not to have sex. When I was in school, if you made a mistake with sex, you just went to see the healthcare doctor. You make a mistake with sex, you can go off campus in a body bag. It's called HIV and AIDS. And not to mention the reality of getting pregnant and have to make some very tough decisions or be a full-time student. Some of you that are transfer students have children. And you should tell the people that are sitting with you that don't have children how difficult it is to be student, partner, significant other, lover, friend, caretaker of your parents, as well as a parent yourself. Life is hard. Don't make it harder for yourself. Number 6, I want you to be spiritual men and women in the widest sense of the word. Find something larger than yourself in life to believe in. Otherwise, you're going to wind up being a narcissist or an ass, and no one's going to like you. I don't care if you call it God, Allah, Yahweh, Adonai, Cosmic Muffin, the Big Bang, or maybe it's the San Gabriel Mountains. The reality is, find something larger than yourself. You are probably sitting in a building right now that's named after Santos Manuel. Santos Manuel was the leader of the San Manuel tribe. He realized that he was in trouble. trouble. And the reason he realized he was in trouble is because in 1866, a bunch of people wanted that land that's up there by those fancy lakes in the mountains up there. And they said, hey, why don't you just go up and kill those Native Americans up there and get them out of there? We want that land. And Santos Manuel had the insight to bring his people down. He knew there was a higher power in life. He brought his people down to the valley where they could always see their sacred mountains and not lose their tribe, not lose their culture. Would it be interesting to you to know that that tribe who was treated so poorly, whose existence was threatened by the United States of America, gave millions and millions of dollars to CSUSB to help build their beautiful student center? You know what that's called? It's called forgiveness, because they had a higher power. They had a higher calling. That's what I want you to have in your life. I want you to be a spiritual person. Number 7, I want you to be free from dependence on alcohol and other drugs. I'm not going to tell you not to drink. I'm not your dad, but I'm going to tell you this. If you have problems when you drink, you are a problem drinker. I'm a problem drinker because when I drink too much Jameson's Irish whiskey, I think I get better looking. It's the damnedest thing. And I'm funny, and every once in a while I'm around a bunch of really beautiful college women, and I can't remember what's her name's name. You know, help me, Mark, my wife. And so then I have to choose between 2 hours of pleasure with somebody I'm never going to see again, or my children choosing whose house they're going to go to for Christmas next year. Well, that'd be a damn shame, wouldn't it, to sacrifice 33 years of marriage, 4 wonderful children. I've got a granddaughter. I picture sometimes turning to my granddaughter, Addie. She's just barely 2 years old. But when she gets about 9 and says, honey, the reason you haven't seen Grandpa very much is Grandpa got drunk one night and he hung out with some 27-year-old. How stupid would that be? I simply want you to be free from dependence on alcohol and other drugs. Look in the mirror tonight. Can you handle it? Are you a social drinker? Yeah, I'm a social drinker. I just like to drink alone. If you have problems when you drink, you are a problem drinker. Hey, I only drink once a year. Cool. What happens when you drink? I get arrested. That's a problem. You got to take care of yourselves. And I want you to be real leery right now of using any other drugs. Alcohol's a drug, but all other drugs are treated differently by the United States government. Congress passed a law which says any drugs used within 1 mile of a campus, elementary, middle, high school, or college, any drugs used within a mile of a campus doubles the penalty upon conviction. What was a misdemeanor for my generation is a felony for yours. And you take your pen and check the box when you apply for a job that says you've been convicted of a drug-related misdemeanor or felony, and call me when you get the first job interview. Drug use in 2013, 2014, from now on, drug use is the equal opportunity unemployment facilitator. Number 8, some of you got great parents, okay? Some of you got great parents. They kiss each other. They hold hands. It makes you sick. You know, they're the kind that they film Cialis commercials about. And by the way, a little tip about Cialis. If your parents or grandparents put 2 tubs in the front yard and start filling them up with water, that is just sick and wrong. Call the police. Nobody wants to see people my age naked. You know what love is? Love is my wife and I disrobe in the dark out of mutual respect for each other and common sense. I want you to let go your anger at your parents. Your parents did a good job. They did a good job. I want you to call them today. I'm going to see him tonight. I don't care. I want you to call him as soon as you're done listening to me and the other people that are going to talk to you today. I want you to say, hey, Dad, no, Dad, I'm good. No, I'm good. No, the orientation's going good. I'm glad I transferred. They got good people here. Mark, Harley, Mama D, they're unbelievable. No, Dad, no, I don't need money. Whoa, my bad. Send the money. No, Dad, we had some whacked out dude from Oregon film a video for us, you know, with Horsepower Productions. They sent it down. And Dad, he said that if you've been doing a good job, Mom, are you on the line? Yes, I am. Listen, he said if you did a good job, that we should thank you. So Dad, thank you. Your dad will go, what do you want, boy? You smoking that wacky tobacco again? Do you guys understand? I don't want you to raise your hands on this, but those of you that have lost parents like I have, you know that someday your parents won't be there. And the reality is what's going to happen is you're going to have to go on. And I don't want you sitting at the memorial service someday wishing you to said I'm sorry, wishing you to reached out the right hand of forgiveness. The reality is if your parents didn't do a good job, you need to begin the process of getting on with it. I did not say get over it. That's ridiculous. But getting on with your life, okay? You know how we parent? We parent the best we can. I used to have 4 wonderful theories of parenting. 4 theories of parenting. Then I had 4 kids. You know what I got now? I got 4 kids and no theories. You do what works. And so you need to forgive. Even if your parents aren't meeting you halfway, You want to be sitting at that memorial service knowing that you reached out the right hand of forgiveness. You cannot fly with wings like eagles if you've got a weight on your backside because you're still mad at your dad for leaving your mom in 4th grade. I'm sorry my real dad died 3 months before I was born. I'm sorry my stepdad was a practicing alcoholic. I'm sorry that I was sexually molested when I was 8 years old. But you know what? That was then, and this is now. And you can get on with your life if you're willing to face the problems. And if it didn't kill you, oh, it made you stronger. I'm tough as nails, not because my life's been perfect, but because my life has been hard. That's why I got some things to say to you, and you got some things to say to other people on the campus. Do you ever think that maybe there's a reason that you transferred to CSUSB? Maybe it's not about you. Maybe you've been sent there to help somebody. I want you to let go the anger at your parents or thank them for doing a good job. Number 9, the secret of college life, and this is probably my favorite part of this little presentation here. The secret of college life is very simple. Are you ready? Find something you love to do and learn to do it well enough that somebody will pay you to do it. Doesn't matter what it is, okay? Doesn't matter. You know, a lot of times you listen to people my age, and God, aren't we the best at handing out advice? Frankly, sadly, I'm doing it right now. But I'm getting paid to do what I love. I get paid to talk, which is like paying cows to poop in a field. If you went out to a cow and go, if you poop, we'll give you oats, he'd put his tail up and start dropping them. Those of you from the greater Chino area have seen cows do that. The downtown LA people are going, why do they stick their tails up straight? Well, Scooter, because they don't want to poop on themselves. This isn't science, just think it through. The reality is, the secret is, what do you want to do? You have to find what you want to do. But you listen to people my age going, your grandfather was a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, damn it, you'll be a lawyer. Do you like the law? Hell no! And they start drinking. Why would you look to us or Washington, D.C. or in your state, Sacramento, for role models? You need to be looking in the mirror. You need to be the kind of person that people can start looking at. Why don't you be the role model rather than looking one? Why don't you be the mentor rather? By the way, if you don't have a mentor, find one. Okay? You might start with Mark Hartley or Mama D, but the reality is maybe you're the one that's supposed to reach out. But you guys have got to know you have to find what you love. I had a 6'2", 275-pound black student at Oregon State. I heard him singing one time in the in-room in the residence hall. Some of you living on campus, beautiful little situation, looking up at those mountains that were so important to Santos Manuel. I've been there. I'll be there this summer. By the way, if you're in town this summer, I'm on campus 6 times. Why don't you stick your head in as a transfer student and say hi? But the reality is this man could sing. So I said, will you come sing in my church? And he said, are there a lot of black people in your church? I said, are you high? This is Oregon. So he came and sang Amazing Grace, which for you non-church people is one of the church's top 10 hits. He sang Amazing Grace with such power that a white woman yelled amen. You hardly ever see that. I mean, amen. And then she felt bad about herself. So I said, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to be a teacher. I said, you're going to be a performer. He said, what are the chances of me earning my living performing? I said, slim and none. He goes, why would I do it? I said, because you don't want to be my age with regrets. You know what the worst thing in life is? It's a sour old person with regrets. And where did a sour old person with regrets come from? From a young person that listens to older people pee on their parade and tell them they can't do stuff. I said, you're going to be a performer. So he changed his major. Then he went to Northwestern and got a master's degree in vocal performance and conducting. His first job out of graduate school, a little thing called Showboat, ran on Broadway. Maybe you've heard of it. It's in New York City. For 7 years, it won the Tony Award. His second job, little thing called Showboat, won the Tony Award. He'll be touring nationally, probably through Southern California. His name is Roosevelt Andre Credit. And there's nothing wrong with being a music teacher, because he'll do that someday, but he had a gift. And I'm telling each of you right now, from my heart to yours, you have a gift. And you have a moral, ethical responsibility to actualize your gift. Some of you get excited about math. I have no idea why. Some of you go, oh God, Dr. Keim, when the columns add up, I'm orgasmic. I don't get it. I hate math. I blur. But I found my passion. Will you? Will you be brave enough to find your passion? Even if everybody tells you, oh, there's no jobs in that. There's always jobs in everything for somebody who's great. Thank God Bill Gates didn't go, well, IBM's got computers. There's no need to focus on that. That's done. Right now is your time. Right now is your time to find your passion, and that's the secret of college life. And lastly, number 10, and this is probably the most important thing, I've asked you to study, I've asked you to serve, I've asked you to make peace with people, I've asked you to be a man or woman of character. This is called an internal summary for you speech majors. I've asked you to be healthy. I've affirmed abstention as a viable option. Spiritual men and women. I've asked you to be free from dependence on alcohol and other drugs. I've asked you to let go of your anger at your parents and thank them. I've told you the secret of college life. Now here's the most important. 25,000. 25,000. $25,000. And by the way, if you get out of school with just $25,000 worth of debt, you're way ahead of the game. My son-in-law, I love him dearly. I love him dearly. Has $100,000 of debt. It's too much. That's why he lives with me, with my daughter. They live with me so they can pay down their student loans, and I'm glad to have them. But the reality is, $25,000. That's not going to be your starting salary either. That's why you're going to college. And by the way, I don't know if a college degree is worth it. Really? Well, let me give you some facts. If you get a BA, you'll make $600,000 more over the work lifetime. How do I know that? That's a 25-year study done by the American Council on Education. If you get a bachelor's degree, $600,000. If you get a master's degree, it goes to $1.2 million. If you get a PhD, a JD, or an MD, then it goes to about $3 million. Is a college education worth it? Abso-freaking-lutely. Not just for earning, but from the well-rounded person, the citizen of the world that you will become. But you've got 25,000 days. Now here's the wake-up call. The youngest one of you in the room right now watching this has already spent 6,500 of your 25,000 days getting to CSUSB. 1/4 of your entire life is over. How's it going? Right now, I'll bet you look like deer in headlights on the road to Running Springs. And you know why? Because you didn't think your life had started. Those of you that are older than average students, you're nodding your head up and down right now, and you need to share your wisdom with the young stallions and stallionettes sitting next to you, because the reality is 1/4 of your life is over. I'm 60, 59. But by the time I visit campus again, I'm going to be 60 years old. And you know what that tells me? I am done with fall, maybe late fall, because life is pretty rich for me right now. I got colors everywhere. I got a granddaughter that thinks I'm a god. I got children that tolerate me. My wife, she's still living with me and not dating Eric, the pool boy. This is pretty good. But you know what comes after fall? How would you know? You're Southern Californians. Your seasons are nice and nicer. But in other places, there's fall and then winter. I'm looking at winter in my life. You know where you're at, most of you? You've just gotten out of the blocks. You've just come through spring. This is the summer of your existence as a human being. And you've got 18,500 days left to make a masterpiece. I've only got 10,000 days left. I've crested the hill. I can see the finish line. That's why I don't rush. That's why I slow down. That's why every time I talk to one of my daughters or my son, I tell them I love them. They go, "You told me that yesterday." I said, "I'm going to tell you 10 more times." The reality is, you guys, you got 18,500 days left. Why would you waste one hungover? Why would you waste one guilty? Why would you waste one nervous? Why would you waste one fearful? Why would you waste one resentful about the past? This is your time right now at California State University, San Bernardino, to set the banquet table for the glorious feast you're going to eat the rest of your life. And here's a little tip for you. Your children are going to eat off that table, and your grandchildren are going to eat off that table. And those of you that have elderly parents, your parents are going to be able to keep their home or have a single room in assisted living because you came to CSUSB, you set some agendas, you made some priorities, and you set the banquet table for a glorious feast. If I can help you, my contact information is on those pamphlets that have been handed to you. I'm serious about it. If I can help you, you let me know. If I don't hear from you, I'm just going to assume that you're now in your new college home being good yotes. And as we like to say, for good yotes, ow! God bless you all.